When I found this poem, I was at a point in my life where I wasn't necessarily dying, but I wasn't really living either. It was as if I was existing in this emotional purgatory, kind of like a middle ground for the soul. And then suddenly a shift came into play. It was as if sadness wasn't on the pedestal anymore, it had been pushed off to the side. And everything was different. Music sounded better. It was as if the artists were surrounding me. I felt the lyrics in my soul and in my blood, as if it was pumping throughout my entire body. Colors were brighter and emotions were felt deeper. I was more alive than I ever had been before. And everything was far from dull. But before, everything only felt as dull. I felt as if I was this piece of glass with a bird constantly crashing into it. And things with glass is that it's relatively see-through. It's as if it was just clear. People know it's there, but there's a glare to it. But with glass, you just sort of see through it. And it felt like that. I felt like people just sort of saw through me, but they knew I was there. But then suddenly realized I was far from the plain clear glass with no color. I was a Catholic church mosaic. Not only was I full of light and color, the things that I gave off was bright as well. I was just too dull, too stuck in this little world to be able to understand it or see it. But now I realized everything was so bright and powerful. Now, this poem isn't necessarily about sadness or complaining. Maybe you could see it as a going-on story, something to keep you to existing. Maybe if you looked on the bright side, maybe things would be just a little bit brighter. Complainers by Rudy from Francisco. So the following are true stories. May 26, 2003, Errol Ralston was hiking. A boulder fell on his right hand. He waited 4 days and cut off his own arm with a pocket knife. On New Year's Eve, a woman was bungee jumping in Zimbabwe. The cord broke. She then swam back to shore in crocodile-infested waters with a broken collarbone. Claire Champlin was smashed in the face by a 5-pound watermelon being propelled by a slingshot. Matthew Brobus was hit by a javelin. David Striegel was hit right in the mouth by a kangaroo. The most amazing part about these stories is when asked, they all smiled, shrugged, and said, I guess things could have been worse. So go ahead. Tell me that you're having a bad day. Tell me about your boss. Tell me about the traffic. Tell me about the job that you've been trying to quit for the past 4 years. Tell me that the Mooring House is just a town burning to the ground and that the snooze button is your fire extinguisher. Tell me the alarm clock stole the keys to your smile, drove it directly into 7 a.m. and crashed till your happiness. Tell me how lucky that we are to have tragedies so small that they fit on the tips of our tongues. You see, when Evan lost his legs, he was speechless. When my cousin was assaulted, she didn't speak for 48 hours. When my uncle was murdered, we had to sit out a search party to find my father's voice. Most people have no idea that tragedy and silence have the exact same address. So when your day is a museum of disappointments hanging from events that were outside of your control. When you find yourself flailing in an ocean of why is this happening to me, when it feels like your guardian angel put in his 2 weeks notice 2 months ago and just kind of forgot to tell you, when it feels like God is a babysitter constantly on the phone, when you get punched in the esophagus by a fistful of life, remember that every year 2 million people die of dehydration, so it doesn't matter if the glass is half full or half empty. There's water in the cup. Drink it and stop complaining. Muscle is created by repeatedly lifting things that have been designed to weigh us down. So when your shoulders feel heavy, lift your chin, look up, stand up straight. Hell, call it exercise. Remember that life is a gym membership with a really complicated cancellation policy. Remember that you will survive. Remember that things could be worse. Remember that we are never given anything that we cannot handle. When the world crumbles around you, you have to look at the wreckage and build a new one out of the pieces that are still here. You are still here. The human heart beats approximately 4,000 times per hour, and each pulse, each throb, each palpitation is a trophy engraved with the words, you are still alive. You are still alive. Act like it. Thank you for judging and thank you for timekeeping.